Blessings, Empress Vibrant here. Hey, Empress Vibrant here. Hope everybody is blessed. So, welcome to Money Making Motivation or Money Making Monday, whichever one is best. Although I'm doing this on a Monday evening because devices have been all over the shop. However, I just want to continue to keep the thread going so that when we are looking at our goals, we're asking the same different questions each week. About our goals, the reality of putting them into practice, or what possible blockages there could be, your options of how you're going to be presenting whatever it is that you are wanting to present or to bring forth, and what it is that you will do. So this is what that grow method is about. And again, I'm using the Making Business Matter coaching cards, and it's more like a personal and also self-development. So I just want to basically kind of get into that kind of swing of things. I'm going to flip between these cards and the more business focused kind of ones as well. I did record a whole section with the business model cards, and the sound was not going on, so jarring, but I say it go. But what I'm wanting to do is just go through the overall energy around just the energy around making something happen. Okay. These messages are very general. They will not resonate with everyone. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So what is the energy around the goals and the dreams, the aspirations? All tied up. So for some of you, this is an energy about, well, I've got so much stuff going on. Do I really have space, time, energy to get this done? I'm wrapped up in debt. I'm wrapped up in other duties, other responsibilities, wrapped up in my own head, wrapped up in my thoughts, wrapped up in what's going on. So all tied up. Possibly you don't feel like you have finished stuff. Maybe there are too many loose ends to tie up. There's dotting a lot of I's and crossing the T's. So that's possible energy around what's kind of hindering, or possibly what is propelling you to start something. This feels like, oh, I've just been in this kind of loop for a while where I just feel like I'm, going through this hamster wheel, and it's just like, I just feeling kind of all tied up, all wrapped up in knots, and I can't really see a way out. This rat race is becoming very, very taxing. But that's for some of you. And then the action. So, there are some of you that do want to take that action. And so, like I said, for some of you, there is an energy this energy around having to keep going on this kind of cycle over and over again. It's like, oh, I want to take some action. I want to move forward on the things that I want to do. I want to change the way things have been going. So, whichever one you feel, you fall under, if any, possibly this is kind of like the energy around, what's going on with this goal. So possibly maybe you're changing your goals due to your reflection of how things have been going thus far. So I want to go to the goal cards, and I want to see what the energy is around goals at this time. What kind of questions you need to be asking yourself. Like I said, I'm only going to go through one a week. In a general session, we'll go through many different cards through the 4 sections, and kind of explore. And that's kind of what I want to do with these sessions, kind of explore the types of questions that will come up, the types of reflections that will come off of the back of that, and the clarity that can be had when you ask the right type of questions. And I really think these coaching cards are actually really, really beneficial. So we've got goal, and it says, what would you like to get out of this session? So when anybody comes into a session with you, if you were to come into a session with myself, what is it that you'd be looking for? Would it be advice around how to balance this all tied up energy? Would it be to focus in or zero in on or prioritizing one of the many tasks that you seem to be juggling? How best to take action on the goals? What are the types, and when you are in your communication with whoever it is, what are the overall outcomes you're looking for? Okay, so for some of you, when you are thinking about what it is that you want to get out of any kind of session, for some of you, this is meeting with somebody that you're hoping to collaborate with. And see, for some of you, on the way on the train or driving, and it's sort of like, right, what are the types of things you want to hear from the person? Death. You've got the death card. So what this is talking about, ending an old cycle. So to get out of the mundane, to get out of this all tied up energy. To dead that, to have something brand new, to now start taking action, not to be stagnant. I want to, whatever interactions I have, they're going to be beneficial for me. There's going to be a level of change. I'm going to level up. There's going to be something new, an exciting way of looking at something. There was a new perspective, and the way someone coins something, even if it's a phrase or the way they relay information, maybe the way they break it down is so much so that you get it, and it's not something that you have to kind of mull over for very long as well. So I'm glad that I'm seeing that come up, because obviously it's talking about changing something. So this is not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This is about actually changing the way you do things, and also a mindset. So for some of you, this is changing the mindset of, how could sessions of this kind support me? And being able to be challenged by that, explore it, But there's definitely a change on the horizon, and I'm glad to see that. So for some of you, it's definitely about this change. And we also have the Ace of Swords. So to find out the truth of what it is that you really want, to not be so tied up in the mind, being really, really clear about what it is that you want, so you can take the action. Because there is a want to take action. There is a nerves around whether or not it could even happen in the way that you want it. Because of this all tied up energy, you get so much going on, wanting to change something, that death card, needing to close out an old cycle, close out the old ways of doing things, switch things up a bit. And then we have the Ace of Swords, which is a lot around, it's an air sign card, so it's a lot around what we're thinking about, our conscious, our subconscious kind of mind. And I think it's about tapping into changing the old way of seeing things, or the old thought patterns of failure and success. And every day it should be like a session. What do I hope to get out of today? The same question is, what would I want to get out of this session? What do I want to get out of this day? What kind of interactions do I want to make? What type of connections? What type of networking? What type of people do I need to have in my corner? All of those kind of things are the types of questions you can be asking yourself while you are deciding what's going to be the next move to move you to the next level, where you feel like, right, I'm leveling up, there's a growth happening. Let's look into this reality card as well. I'm liking the fact that with the goals, it's about change, and finally being clear on that and not being so tied up with everything, all of the things. So it almost feels like there's so much going on that you don't have time to go for your goals and aspirations. You know, you can see yourself taking action outside of the duties or the day-to-day humdrum kind of situation. So we have the reality. So the reality speaks of what are the types of things that could pop up. What could you do realistically now? What actions can you take? What are possible obstacles of you taking said action? So the question is, what is the present situation in more detail? So what is the present situation? You know, okay, so for some of you who've got this energy that they're, you know, my mind's all over the place. I feel tied up with the bills, the mortgage, my responsibilities, my duties, my obligations. So it's like, if that's what the present situation is now, in detail, really start to try to unpack that. Is there anything that we can do to smooth out this situation? Are there certain actions, there we go, certain actions that we can take to ensure a smoother performance or a more productive delivery in news or in presenting, showing up for yourself, showing up for others? So let's see what the other things that are coming up. So what are the things going on? So what is the present situation in the detail? So the present situation is there is an abundance of support and love. Definitely there is abundance. You've got Ace of Cups. There's an abundance of love, support, that harmony. But I think this all tied up energy means that although you have that support, you may not be utilizing the support. Be going into yourself. Five of Swords. So conflict. Yeah, I feel like this is conflict. So possibly for some of you, you're going through some conflict. This is possibly where you're feeling all tied up. Possibly you want to make certain moves, but there are obligations. Like I said, there's certain duties, certain things that are feeling really quite heavy. And where there is, you know, an abundance of that kind of overpouring of emotions. For some of you, this is an energy where it's causing the conflicts. Everybody's emotions are high. And maybe it's hard to take certain actions because of the current situation that, you know, the details are that everybody's quite emotional. And when everybody's emotionally charged, you know, there's casualties, you know, and not all the time you're going to be coming out victorious in these conflicts. We have the Moon card. So, you know, I think this is the balance between the dream, you know, the present dream is still alive. However, the conflicts and balancing the emotions and the abundance that's about to come. There's a fear around even being fully abundant. What does that look like? You know, what would I need to do? What more would I need to show? And I feel like that's where there is a frustration, because there's action still being taken, but there's a tied up energy. No matter how much I move, stretch, show up, there is, you know, it's not as I would want it. So the reality I see is that the present situation isn't looking as, you know, the dream. It's not looking as how you want it to look as yet, because there is some conflict. There are some things to move. There are some things that need to be balanced, you know, in order for this abundance to come through. But there is definitely an overflow of emotions going on right now as well. So that makes a lot of sense overall. But in general, when you're looking at your current situation, look at the details, look at the finer things, look at ways in which we can cut things off, try this, you know, it's like we have this thing at work called stop, start, finish. So what should we stop? That's something that's just totally not yielding any positive results. What should we start? Let's trial something. What's the best way we can kind of get through to this demographic, or how we can kind of showcase, you know, our skills or our abilities. And then what was it? Stop, start, continue. What should we continue? What's been working? What's been yielding results? What types of data are we getting from our reflections? And that's kind of how we can kind of dig into our day-to-day things. You know, what is the present situation in more detail? What are the finer things? What should we start, stop, and then continue? You know, and those, when we're looking at our growth in that way, it doesn't seem too heavy. And then we can kind of take this energy of all being tied up, so that we can get to a stage where we can take action without the nerves, without feeling restricted, without feeling, you know, this sense of, you know, this change, you know, the change from this negative kind of viewpoint, or this same mundane scenario situation kind of playing out. And this Ace of Swords is definitely, you know, around a huge abundance. What was it even? I feel like there's a huge abundance coming, but I feel like this Ace of Swords is an opportunity to speak some type of truth, and some type of truth that's going to come out. Maybe somebody else's goals come to light, maybe your goal and what you want ultimately for the future. Maybe that needs to be voiced, you know, when we're talking about what we want to get out of any interaction. So let's go in also to the options. So let's have a look. I like the many different questions here. So we've got, what can you do to influence change in your world right now? So again, options. What can you do to influence change in your world right now? So what, you know, what could you do to influence change in your world right now? You know, what will ease the conflicts? What things will you start? What things that that's currently working that you will continue? What kind of influence can you do? You know, what kind of things can you do to change the way your world is looking right now? You know, we already spoke about the mind and everything that's going on, and the possible truths that's coming up, and maybe that's causing a little anxiety. But I want to see what else comes up. But, you know, start thinking about those things. What kind of influence can you have to change your world? You know, influence can you have to change your world? And mine will just be really staying consistent with those energies that are beneficial and that promote action and promote confidence, you know. It's carrying on with those practices that keep me grounded, feeling unstoppable even. Yeah, so anyway, let's get into that. So options, what can you do to influence changing your world right now? And remember, it didn't say the world, it's your world. So it always starts with you and where you're at. So we have the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords talks about, it's definitely about some type of, I'm hearing two things. One, it's about starting something new from scratch, carving it out brand new. So although there's been possibly, you know, a way it's been done in the past, possibly you're carving out a new way of doing it. and the way in which you speak to people, clear, direct, you speak life, you're clear, you're focused. Yeah, and you cancel out all the negative voices, the self-limiting voice that pops up as well. You start to carve out and create a space where you have this energy of winning. You know, when you take the action and you feel like, you know what, I've moved from this state where I felt tied up, like almost like no matter what I do, it's the same type of outcome. What else is there? We have the Ace of Pentacles. So what type of influence can you do to change your world? You know, so that you feel, maybe it's your investments. You've got the Ace of Pentacles. This is untapped possibility for stability, luxury, luxury, stability, top tier living, being able to invest in people, to be able to invest in yourself, bring up the people around you up to a different status, a different level, possibly. But this is untapped resources and opportunity here for stability. You know, this is our finances, our career, our home life, and like that. And then we also have the Ten of Cups. There you go, influencing that home life energy. Ten of Cups speaks of, you know, our wish fulfillment, our look at that home, stable, you know, balance, you know. Yeah, it's about having that balance, and it's about family. So it's about carving out a new way of doing things. You know, how you deal with, you know, money, how you deal with conflicts, you know, and how you show up for your family. And I think that's kind of like, you know, the influences that you can have around your own families, and obviously ask these questions for yourself in relation to that, but for who this resonates for, you know, the influence that you want to have is that you want to carve out a new way of doing things. You know, you don't want to have the same narrative, not speaking the same old cursed talk, this, you know, breaking generational curses. Obviously, that's what we're, you know, doing while we're doing the work and healing. We're actually doing that. But I'm talking about reinforcing it, you know, speaking a new thing, you know, singing a new song, you know, so that we are bringing in this lucrative energy. There is untapped potential here. This is that stability that everybody kind of wants. You know, this is that generational wealth. That is the passing down of knowledge. That's the passing down of something tangible, you know. And we have this home, so possibly wanting to pass down the family home or some type of asset, you know, and taking that time to build, like I said, the status of the family or the way you live, that kind of energy. So then lastly we have what will you, so it's like the will, you know, so these are the practical things that you can do to move your goals to a more action-based energy. Go from the goal, the reality, the options, and then lastly the will. Let's see. So we have who needs to know about this. So who needs to know about your goals, your aspirations? Who needs to know? Who needs who is going to help you take action? Who, you know, what is the action you're going to take to connect with? Who needs to know about this, your venture, about where you're at, about possibly where you're coming from? You know, this all tied up energy. And is this all tied up energy in relation to what it is that you're giving? If it's about you being a speaker and it's about telling your story, how, you know, you always felt like as though you were always tied up, you always felt obligated, or you always felt whatever it is. And it was about, you know, and your journey, you're talking about your journey and how you took action in changing the trajectory of your life. Possibly that would be what it is, and who needs to know about this? The public, the people who you're speaking to, your target audience, whether it's going to be like the self-help group, whether it's going to be, you know, who needs to know about this? Possible investors, new customers, service providers, wholesalers, you know, drumming up business. Who needs to know? You know, and those are the things that you have to think about as well. And I think when we go back down to this truth that comes out, you know, you wanted to talk the truth around, you know, what your goals truly are, what you want out of everything. Possibly, you know, maybe, like I said, like there's a nerves around whether or not how to speak, who to speak to, and to kind of change the trajectory of how things have already been. So for some of you who have spoke prematurely and either somebody poo-pooed all over your aspiration, your dreams, or this was you speaking too soon and maybe not coming to the end or having or seeing it all the way through. For some of you, this is all, you know, I've kind of spoke too soon. You know, I didn't see it all the way through. People are asking me about this venture. I'm not really there anymore. I don't really feel like that. What I'm doing now, I would prefer, you know, not to broadcast it until I'm further along. Maybe I don't say anything until I've at least have a prototype, or I've practiced enough so when I'm ready to give the service, I feel confident I'm giving a, you know, a good service. The Knight of Cups. So with this offer, you know, so possibly you speak to your significant other about it. You know, you speak to your, you know, possibly somebody who comes in quite passionately. They're wanting to collaborate, they're offering, you know, someone who's got this offer of support, possibly, who seems emotionally mature, or at least that's what they're showing, you know, and you'll be able to be the judge of that as well. We also have the Four of Wands. So definitely speaks about anybody who can set this foundation. Four of Wands talks about home and stability, you know, our pillars, the things that we rest upon, you know, our values, our morals, you know, the pillars of our reality, of our family, of our communities. So definitely that energy around family. So definitely those who, you know, your decisions will directly affect your family, your significant other, the people who you are building this particular empire with, you know. I'm liking that. So in closing, we have some messages from like the angels. This spread, what advice do you have? What's the encouraging sort of things to consider? So we have success. So no need to worry. You will be successful. Success is here for you, especially when you start taking action, allow things to be more streamlined, that focus. be confident, speak what it is that you want. There is success here for all of your ventures, whether they are more career-based, entrepreneurial, work, personal, your personal development and your growth. There is success here once you take that time to work out what your actual goal is, where you are at now, where you want to be, how you're able to change or influence change in your life. And then lastly, who needs to know about this movement, this change, this evolve level, this upgraded version that's happening. Ask your angels. So whenever you feel as though you are at a stage where you feel you're unsure and you just want some extra confirmation, ask your angels, have that inner dialogue, dial it in, have that quiet time for that meditation, for that prayer, a time for prayer and to still the mind, and you'll get the answers that you are seeking. And then lastly, there is peaceful resolution. Where there was an energy around some conflict around the reality of how things are, there is going to be a peaceful resolution, but obviously things need to play themselves out. There is going to be a change on the horizon, but for some of you, some of this stuff has to play itself out, because it's a part of it is the catalyst to you leveling up. It's the necessary heat underneath the proverbial ass, as it were. Do you get what I mean? So there is a peaceful resolution. Don't be hard on yourself. Allow yourself the time to take your time to get out of this state where you feel all tied up, so that you're able to start taking action on your goals, looking at where you are realistically, the options that you have to change the way things are, and then what you can do physically, who needs to know, who can support, and things of that nature. So this has been your money motivation energy. And I don't necessarily want to call it money motivated either, because I started it off with this kind of like money making Monday, because I kind of just wanted to kind of be on a more business focused kind of energy. I don't think I like that money making vibe, because it's not necessarily just all about money making, although this is a lot about your stability and about getting to a new stage of doing things. And for many of you, this is the up leveling. So maybe I just need to get comfortable with that as well. And that's a trigger for some of you as well. About that kind of energy, the goal of the pursuit of money, and whether or not it's worthy enough. So yeah, it was a very, very funny energy that just came over me as well. And I feel for some of you, this is what it is, get into a stage where you feel like you deserve to have any amount of money that would be considered real abundance, huge prosperity. You could be, extremely wealthy, and then feeling as though you deserve that, you're worthy of those things. It's like you have those lottery winners, and deep down they don't feel like they deserve it, so they blow it all, or they just give it away to a 1,000,001 charities or all family members or whatever. They just give it away, and they've got nothing to show for it. And it shows the mentality. When you don't feel that you deserve something, you fritter it away. You give it away, you get it as far away as you possibly can, or you burn through it as quickly as possible so that you can feel comfortable back at this, not lowly, but not as elevated stage, because that's what you're used to. And this is what I was talking about, that narrative, changing of the narrative, the death of that narrative, this so-called truth, and changing it, and speaking life into yourself, and then also speaking quite some clear truths, the things that you could do to cut out, the things that you can do practically to move your move your situation on to the next level. There's obviously certain patterns that are being repeated, and that's what the reflection time is all about. And that's why I feel like there's some inner conflicts as well. So take the messages as they resonate. Leave what doesn't make sense. Anything that does resonate, please put it in the description box. Send it to whomever who you feel like, I don't know, I want to see somebody else's kind of viewpoint on that. What resonated with them. So share, comment, like the videos, because the more people like the videos, it will buff up my videos up on the algorithm so I can get some more views, and just keep building this channel as well, and the shares also. So yeah, my lovelies, take care, and like I said, look after yourself. There's no rush. However, we are all growing. Take time to look at your goals, what's going on in your reality, your options, and what you're willing to do to move things to the next level. So my darlings, take care. Blessings.